Hi, I'm Underbelly, and you suck at drums. In the previous video, we wrote our very first drum beats by creating two clips at different energy levels for different sections of our song. In today's lesson, we're going to add two more clips to the ones we already started. So to follow along, I highly recommend checking out the previous video and downloading my free drum sample pack in the video description. Let's get started. Okay, so check it. So last time we left off with two different clips at different energy levels. Let's take a listen. We have I and A. And now let's go ahead and duplicate A by hitting Command D, renaming it by hitting Command R and calling it B. Now for B, we want the energy level of the drums to max out. So remember, the two ways of raising the energy were one, adding something new, or two, making an existing element more active. So let's look at the elements we already have here. We got kick, snare, and hi-hat. Now, the kick and the snare, they're both going pretty damn crazy. So let's focus on the hi-hat. Perhaps we can make that more active by highlighting all the hi-hats just like I did by hitting the piano roll key and hitting divide by 2 over on the left side. That makes each note half the previous length and therefore play twice as fast. Let's take a listen. And we can duplicate that over into the second half by hitting Command D. Okay. Let's compare that to what we had before by hitting Command Z a couple times. Again. All right, so it's a little higher energy, but it also starts to sound a bit cluttered. So let's hit Command Z a couple times and think about how else we can raise the energy of the hi-hat. Well, look at that. Right above my OG hat, I got the open hat as well. So maybe let's move all these notes up just by hitting the up arrow key on my keyboard here and take a listen to the open hi-hat. Oh, it's so noisy. So, and generally the open hat hits sparingly and usually on weaker beats. So what I'm going to do is move the stuff on the ands. So for example, the and of the first beat, perhaps the and of the fourth beat. And let's do the same thing here at bar 2. Let's take a listen. They're a little quiet, so let's click on the black key here to select all of them and we'll raise the velocity. But here's the problem. It seems like the noisiness of the open hi-hat is sort of covering the next closed hi-hat after. What I want to do is make the open hi-hat play for a shorter period of time. So let's, shorten these notes here and see what happens. It makes no difference. What the heck? I'm still clipping. God damn it. Let me turn this down. Okay, so looks like the length of the notes has no bearing on the sound. Well, to fix this, let's go over to the drum rack here, and we'll click on the open hi-hat and switch it to gate mode. And what gate mode does is that it will stop playback of the sample as soon as the note ends. So let's go back to the clip here and take a listen. Oh, so much snappier. So what I can do now is play with the note length. Maybe the first one will have it be long. Maybe the second one I'll just nudge a bit to the right and add a closed hi-hat in its place. Oh, it's so much tighter. It's amazing. Okay, last thing I want to do here is just replace the open hi-hat sound. It's still too noisy for me. So let's go back over into the drum rack and hit this nice recycling bin icon here and pick, I don't know, maybe this lo-fi open hi-hat. I swore I wouldn't make lo-fi for the rest of my life, but here I am. And again, let's switch it to gate mode and take a listen. Okay, nice. Let's close out of the hot swap mode. Take a look at our clip. Sounds way better. Okay, so that's one change going from A to B. Now, what could that second change be? Well, here I have this nice little stick here, and I'll play it just by clicking on the blue headphone icon and triggering the piano key. Oh, it's a nice little stick. Uncle Joe actually uses this stick to beat Derek when he doesn't give him his foot massages. So maybe let's add some stick to our beat as well. Now this stick here is a percussion sound, and generally a good pattern for percussion is spacing each hit 3/16 notes apart. So let's add a stick at the beginning and then we'll count 3 blocks. 1, 2, 3, add, 1, 2, 3, add, 1, 2, 3, add, and so on. One more time. 1, 2, 3, add. Let's take a listen. Ooh, let me just turn that up by clicking on all the sticks and just cranking the velocity here. Also, nice syncopated pattern. I'm going to definitely beat Derek to this. But the problem is now the beginning of our clip is sounding a little bit cluttered. What with the stick and the open hi-hat. So maybe let's take all these sticks and do a little stick shift, no automatic. We're going to nudge these to the right using our arrow keys here, just so that that first stick gets out of the way of the open hi-hat. So let's take a listen to this. Better, a little bit more to the right perhaps. Oh, that's nice. Okay, now these two last sticks are overlapping. We need to give Derek a break from the beatings. So let's delete these and just highlight the sticks in the first half and hit Command D. Maybe we'll add one more stick at the end just to create some variation in the second half. And wowzers, it's amazing. Now, let me take a step back a bit. I'm going to hit Command Z a couple times. You might have noticed that when I highlighted the sticks, I made sure to highlight the whole bar. And what I'm looking at here is the blue line running across the top. If I highlight just the sticks themselves, you'll notice that the blue bar is much smaller. And if I hit Command D, it's not going to place it in the right spot in the second half. So when you're highlighting stuff to duplicate, make sure that you're highlighting the full bar length. This way it'll get pasted in the right spot. Wowzers. Let's add that one last stick at the end there to create some variation. And just so that Derek's beatings are a little bit more lifelike, let's change the velocity of these sticks a bit to create some more, variation in Derek's abuse. Oh, that's nice. Much appreciated. Okay. So that's two changes going from A to B. We have the open hi-hat and we also have some stick. Perhaps now we could add the ride here. Now, in addition to being a great mode of transportation, you can think of the ride as a really big, slow hi-hat. So whereas the hi-hat usually goes at a regular 8th or 16th note pace, the ride usually plays slower, either at a quarter note or half note pace. So let's add the ride on every quarter note. That's going to be right on the beats here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then let's just highlight that and copy it over to the second half by hitting Command D. Okay, take a listen. Oh, wowzers, it doesn't sound that great. So let's go over to the drum rack and replace this terrible ride sound with something hopefully a little less terrible. Let's try this noise ride. Okay, that's better. Let's change it to gate mode here so that it's a little bit tighter. Get out of the hot swap mode and go back to B. Jesus, but drums are sounding so cluttered here. Well, one way we can declutter is by minimizing the number of drum sounds playing at a time. So let's get rid of the closed hi-hats directly underneath these rides just by highlighting them. I'm holding down Shift here to highlight multiple. And if we're not sure if we want to delete this thing outright, we can hit 0 to deactivate the notes instead. So let's take a listen. And put the hi-hats back on by hitting 0 again. Can't hear a difference, so let's just delete them. And as far as these ride goes, let's create some variation by extending some of these. Oh, so much nicer. Let's maybe take every other ride here and just lower the velocity to create some more life to it. So much better. Okay, let's hear the difference from A to B. A, medium energy. B, max. Okay, definitely the energy goes up here, but it's still a little cluttered sounding. What could we do here? Well, perhaps let's ease up on the energy level of some of the elements that we carried over from A. So for example, our kick pattern is pretty damn busy. So maybe let's get rid of some of these weaker kicks, maybe on the E of the second beat, and I'm just double clicking to remove there, and maybe on the E of the second beat in the second bar as well. So let's take a listen to that. Maybe I'll get rid of this extra kick there. Something like that. Okay. Awesome. So now we have 3 distinct changes from A to B. We got the ride, the stick, and the open hi-hat. Now it's time to add some icing on the cake. And that usually comes in 2 forms, a crash at the beginning and a fill at the end. So a crash is usually used to announce the beginning of a new section. So let's replace the ride we have at the beginning with the crash. And we'll raise the velocity here a bit. Oh, wowzers. It's just a big sound explosion at the beginning there. Now, I think the crash is hitting a little too often, so perhaps I'll raise the velocity a bit and hit duplicate loop to make the loop twice as long. And then halfway here, I'm going to take this crash and put it back to the ride. Okay, that's a lot more reasonable. And now I want a burst of activity at the end of this loop just to wrap everything up nicely. And that usually comes in the form of a fill. So here I have 3 toms in my drum rack, high, mid, and low. And what we're going to do is just add them at the very end of the 4th beat of the 4th bar here. And usually we go in that order, high, mid, and low. And just to make the fill a bit more obvious, let's delete all the drum elements happening underneath. And take a listen. I'm just going to play it from halfway through here. Let's take that last tom here, push it a little to the right to switch it up, take the middle tom, lower the velocity. Now, keep in mind that because these elements are more for transitions between one section and the next, they don't really raise the energy throughout the clip, and as a result, don't really count as a change. Okay, let's duplicate B and finally let's call it O. Now O is going to be our outro or breakdown, so we want to lower the energy level here. So let's start by removing some elements. Let's get rid of the crash at the beginning. Maybe we'll get rid of all the closed hi-hats. Now we want O to feel distinct from I and A. So it helps to keep elements that you've added more recently and remove elements that you've had since the beginning of your drums, like maybe your kick, for example. So let's get rid of pretty much all the kicks. I'm just going to keep one at the beginning just to announce that downbeat. And let's take a listen. Okay, better. Let's add another kick at measure 3. Okay, and raise the velocity here. Still feels a little too busy. So maybe let's get rid of these extra trap snares. And I'm just deleting all the weaker ones that aren't on the 2 and 4 here. Nice. Maybe let's even get rid of the ride. Okay, now that we have 4 clips all at distinct energy levels, let's hear it one more time. We got I, low energy. A, medium energy. B, maximum energy. And then O, back to low energy, but still feeling distinct from I and A. Wowzers. Okay, so check it. Try practicing this on your own by adding B and O clips to the drums you already have. Remember, we want 3 changes from one clip to the next, and if B is sounding ultra busy, try limiting the number of drum elements happening at a time. For O, yes, we want to lower the energy, but at the same time, make sure it feels distinct from I and A. Once you have 4 drum clips that you're happy with, try adding chords, bass, melody. You'll find that it's a lot easier not to get stuck with multiple clips to work with. In the next few videos, we'll look at common drum programming techniques in specific genres. So check back every Thursday for more. I'm Underbelly. Have a great day.